everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's Emma, and if you're not new here, let's address the elephant in the room, which is that I have been gone from YouTube for like a month and a half. I have good reasons. The number one reason is that I mainly post about books and book related things, and I haven't been reading that much. So I felt like I didn't have much to post about or talk about on here. And to kind of piggyback off of that, my second reason is that I have been planning my wedding. I also work a full-time job, so I've just been so overwhelmingly busy that I've barely had any time to read. And I don't want to say I've fallen back into a reading slump. It's more just been that the little amounts of downtime I do have on the day-to-day, I'm so exhausted and still have other things going on that I haven't found that much time to read or like had an interest in picking up new books. All of that being said, today's video is kind of gonna be a mashup of different things. First, I'm gonna be doing a wrap up on the books that I did not wrap up in September and the books that I haven't wrapped up in October. Genuinely, I just didn't read enough in September or in the month of October so far to have like literal dedicated wrap-up videos for. At the time of me filming this, I get married in a week and a half, which is so exciting, but I doubt between now and then that I'll even finish another book. We'll see. I might, but I highly doubt it. So I wanted to first of all go ahead and wrap up those books for you guys and talk to you guys about what I have been reading and my thoughts on the things I've read. But also the second half of this video is going to be a TBR video, which I know you guys love. My TBR videos tend to do really well when I draw the prompts and it's kind of like randomly choosing what I'm going to read, and I also absolutely love filming those. So that's going to be the second half of this video, but instead of choosing a monthly TBR, like I'm not going to choose my November TBR. Instead, I'm going to be choosing 3 books that I want to take on my honeymoon. We do have a long flight to our honeymoon, so of course I have to have books on the plane. I doubt I'm actually going to be reading that much, like actually on the trip, like while we're there at the resort, but the plane rides, I definitely need some good reads. So that's why I wanted to include that in this video and bring you guys along to draw prompts to choose what I'm going to read for the honeymoon traveling. But first, let's wrap up the things I've read since I gave my last wrap up. Like I said, I think my very last wrap up video I did was an August wrap up. So you guys have not been filled in on what I read in September or so far in October. And it's kind of sad because I don't have that many books to wrap up in general, but a lot of them are rereads. And I recently posted my fall TBR video and I had so many books I was super excited about reading this fall. And I think in that video I said there's no way I'm gonna get to all of these, but like we'll be lucky if I even get to one of the books that was on that TBR. Without further ado, here is the updated wrap up. So in September, I started the Mind F series by S.T. Abbey. This is one book, but it's technically 5 books within the one book. And I honestly forget the individual titles of each book, but each section, each book is probably like 150 to 200 pages. They're not long at all, but it's basically a dark romance / thriller that follows an FBI agent who is dating a serial killer, and the FBI agent is tracking the case of the serial killer, but he doesn't know that it's the girl he's dating. And I've heard people absolutely rave about this book, give it 5 stars, be completely obsessed with it. So I will say I did go in with very high expectations, but honestly, right off the bat, it started letting me down. For starters, it felt very insta-lovey to me, which obviously I know these are more like shorter books, short stories within a larger story, but I just was expecting where it's a dark romance for there to be a little bit more tension, maybe a little bit of slow burn, but honestly, right from where the 2 main characters meet each other, it's pretty insta-lovey, and that typically isn't my favorite thing in a romance book. The second thing that's bothered me about it is that I found it extremely predictable. Obviously, you kind of already know the mystery. It is jumping back POVs, so the FBI agent doesn't know his girlfriend is the killer, and the girlfriend knows he's on her case, but is trying to hide it from him. But I just was expecting more suspense, more thriller aspects, and to me, that wasn't really there. So I just felt like the way this book was advertised, we were lacking in both departments. The dark romance wasn't even really a dark romance and it wasn't giving. And then the thriller aspects I just feel like could have been so much better. And on top of that, I just found it to be super, super cheesy. And guys, I really, really wanted to love this book because I know so many people do. And maybe it's my own fault for having really high expectations going into it, but I just wasn't, like, it wasn't bad by any means, but I just wasn't a huge fan. I'm definitely not obsessed. I actually ended up DNFing the book. I think I honestly have probably like 50-ish pages left of the 4th section of the book. Never even started the 5th section of the book. So technically I've completed books 1, 2, and 3. I was almost done with book 4, and I don't know if it's just because I was so busy or I wasn't in the mood for it. I just was not vibing with it. It wasn't really holding my attention. So I decided to DNF, but I will say that's a soft DNF. I do want to at some point go back and finish it just to see what happens. I would say overall what I read so far would be like a 3 out of 5 stars. And I honestly feel like instead of having 5 separate books that end up being like a 600+ page book, we could have had one 300-page book that conveyed the exact same thing. So that may be contributing to part of my irritations with it. Overall, from what I've read, I would say it's probably about a 3-star. Not great, not obsessed at all, but definitely not bad. It still was entertaining, and it's not like it's a hard read. That one was a little bit of a miss for me. Then I also read 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, and if you don't know, Holly Jackson is the author of the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, which is a YA mystery that I absolutely love, and there's also a Netflix show out of it, and I adored that series by her. So I went into 5 Survive, hadn't read anything else except A Good Girl's Guide to Murder from her, was really expecting this one to be great and give me those same vibes because this one is also a YA mystery thriller, but again, we had another book that kind of let me down. I'll go ahead and say it. I did give it 3 stars because some aspects of it I did really enjoy, but the main character really got on my nerves. I did not find her likable at all, and really, I didn't feel connected to any of the other characters in the story. I thought a lot of elements in it were not necessarily predictable, but maybe just anticlimactic. Like the predictions I was coming up with in my head were far more interesting than what the actual outcome of the book was. And like I said, my only experience with Holly Jackson had been the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, which has the most insane plot twists. Like, you will not guess them. You'll be totally shocked. And then I went into this and was totally let down because it just, again, it was just anticlimactic in my opinion. And I also didn't feel overly connected to the characters. I didn't find them enjoyable or likable. So it was just kind of a miss for me in all directions. It definitely wasn't bad. Like, it was a fun, quick, easy read, but not going to be something I think about a lot, not a favorite of mine by any means. I do really want to read her other standalone mystery, which is the reappearance of Rachel Price, because I'm interested to see how I'd feel about that one and how it would compare to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is a 5-star series for me. And then 5 Survive, which is just kind of mid. Like, it's a 3-star, I'm never gonna think about it again. So I definitely will be reading her other book just to see what my thoughts and feelings are there, since I have totally opposite feelings about her other books. And then for the entire rest of the wrap up, I started my annual reread of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. If you guys are new to the channel, you may not already know this, but if you've been watching me for a while, you probably already know that I'm absolutely obsessed with ACOTAR and with Sarah J Maas. The ACOTAR series is what first got me back into reading in college way back in 2021, or maybe it was 2022. No, I think it was 2021. And it just reignited my love for reading. And after that, my reading journey kind of just took off. Like, I literally started by reading it on my phone, and now I have all of this behind me. So that series holds a very, very special place in my heart, but also it's phenomenal. Every time I reread it, I love it even more than I did before. I don't think I will ever get sick of being in that world and being with those characters. I adore it so, so much. At the time of me filming this video, I have reread A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin, and I do plan to reread Frost and Starlight and Silver Flames, but that may be like next month or maybe in December. And again, I just felt so at home being back in that world with those characters, and I was just falling in love with the story all over again. All of those books are 5-star reads for me. If you have not read those yet, what are you doing? This is your sign to pick those up immediately. I know they're very, very popular and they're hyped up a lot, but I always say that's for good reason because they genuinely are that good. And I love all of Sarah J. Maas's books, but like I said, ACOTAR just holds a special place in my heart. And I think where I've been so busy, it's a lot easier to fall back into the comfort of reading one of my favorite series as opposed to trying to start a new series or pick up a book I haven't read before. So that series has kind of been my way to still get in reading while I'm busy without having to use a bunch of brain power to learn new information. That is all for my wrap-up update. Now let's get into choosing my TBR for my honeymoon trip. I'm kind of torn here about the kind of books I'm hoping I can get because it is fall time, and as I mentioned, I filmed that whole fall TBR. I'm still super excited about all of those books. And part of me really, really wants to get to those fall kind of cozy fantasy or maybe even a high stakes fantasy, a mystery, a thriller, that type of book because it does feel perfect for fall. But my honeymoon is in Jamaica, so it's gonna be warm and sunny and it's gonna feel like summer, and that kind of makes me want like a fun, lighthearted, heartwarming romance book. So I'm honestly not sure what we're feeling. I'm gonna let the prompts kind of direct me to the type of books I pull, but I'm so torn between literally totally opposite types of books and genres, so we'll see what happens. If you guys haven't watched my TBR videos before, the way this works is I have my trusty TBR bag that is full of a ton of random prompts. I'll draw all the prompts first and then I'll try to find books on my shelves on my TBR that fit the prompt, and that's what will go on my TBR. Like I said, I'm only gonna be choosing 3 because 1, I don't wanna have to pack a lot of books in my luggage, and 2, I highly doubt I'll actually end up having time for reading while I'm actually on the trip, but definitely need some reads for the plane. Let's give her a good shake because it's been a while since I filmed one of these videos. Our first prompt is a book set somewhere you want to visit. I guess technically this could be like an actual physical place that I want to visit, like a place that exists in the world, or it could be fantasy, like a fantasy world that doesn't exist but would be fun to visit. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what options we have that could work for this. Next prompt is a book with red on the cover. I feel like I don't have a lot of those, but we'll see. And then my last prompt is, we're going to the very bottom of the bag for this one, a book that trended in 2022. I feel like this one's gonna be hard to find. I'm trying to think about what books were popular then because I feel like by now I've read most of them. Actually, yeah, I think I am gonna switch this one out, put it back and draw something else, just because my video, my rules, and I think I'm gonna have a really hard time, 1, remembering what trended in 2022, and also finding a book that fits this. So instead of that one, we're gonna go with the next book in a series I've already started. This is easy. I'm in the middle of like 20 something series, so surely I can find something for this one. Okay, I think I have found 3 books that fit these prompts perfectly, and we're gonna start with the prompt that says set somewhere you want to visit. I actually kind of had a hard time with this one because a lot of my actual romance books are just taking place like somewhere randomly in the United States. It's not like destinations necessarily. But then I saw this one and it caught my eye. The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I've actually only read one Christina Lauren book before, Love in Other Words, but I really, really enjoyed it. And this is one of my book of the month box picks. I actually don't know where it takes place, but it's called The Paradise Problem, so I feel like maybe it's taking place somewhere tropical, and I've also heard a lot of people say they really, really enjoyed it. Not only does this fit the prompt technically, even though I don't know specifically where this is taking place, but also I feel like if it's somewhere tropical, somewhere in paradise, that's so fitting for like the atmosphere of where I'll be for my honeymoon. So I felt like this one was just calling my name and I had to pick it. So we're doing The Paradise Problem. This is just an adult contemporary romance. I really don't know much about it. I think it might be fake dating trope. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I just want to go in blind, and we're gonna count this for the prompt and for the first book that I'll be taking with me as a book on my TBR for my honeymoon. The next prompt I chose for was a book with red on the cover, and surprisingly, I didn't have as many options as I thought I would. And like I told you guys, I still was wanting to pick romances, but for this one I picked what I believe is a fantasy romance, and that is Bloodguard by Cece Robson, or maybe it's Ceci Robson. I probably am butchering that. I recently received this as an art copy from Red Tower Books with Entangled Publishing. If you know, you know. I am so grateful and feel so blessed to even be on their PR list, and they have never sent me a book that I didn't enjoy. They have the best fantasy romance books. So when I got this, I was super excited and super intrigued to start it. Actually, at the time of me filming this, I think this book literally just came out, so you can go buy it and purchase it now and read it. But I did receive this about a week ago as an art copy, and again, I was super excited. I don't know a lot about this, but I just scanned the back and it seems like it's gonna be an enemies to lovers, so I'm expecting a lot of great tension and banter. You guys know enemies to lovers is one of my absolute favorite tropes, so this is fantasy. We're getting those fall vibes I wanted, but it's still romance, which I feel like is fitting for going on my honeymoon. And then our last prompt was the next book in a series that you've already started. And technically, I'm kind of cheating with the one I chose for this because it's not the next book in a series I started, and it's also not a series technically. It's part of an interconnected standalone series, and I did also read them out of order. This book is technically the first one out of the interconnected standalone books, but whenever I first started reading them, I accidentally started with the second one, and that is The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. I absolutely love Abby Jimenez. She's never written a book that does not absolutely eat. I also fly through these super quick and end up falling in love with her characters so easily. She writes like rom-coms, but not in a cheesy way. They very much all have great depth to the characters and kind of like more going on in the characters' lives that just makes you like really emotionally attached to them. So I'm really excited to be choosing this one. Technically, it's in an interconnected standalone series, and it's the next one I need to get to, even though it's not technically the next in the series. But hey, again, my video, my rules, we're gonna make this one count, and I feel like this one would be a super fun plain read. So to quickly recap the 3 books I'm taking on my honeymoon, we have The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This is an adult contemporary romance, maybe a little bit of a rom-com. I believe it's fake dating. We have The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. This is, I'm assuming, an adult contemporary romance, friends to lovers. And then we also have The Bloodguard by, I'm gonna butcher the name again, Cece Robson. This is a fantasy romance, enemies to lovers. Not sure if this is new adult or adult, but I guess we're gonna find out. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch the video, and I apologize for my absence lately. Hopefully this was somewhat entertaining, and I'm glad I was able to update you guys and recap the books I've been reading, as well as fill you guys in on the books I'll be taking with me on my honeymoon. Let me know if you guys have read any of the books either that I wrapped up or that I have on my TBR for the honeymoon, and let me know your thoughts. Obviously no spoilers for the TBR ones because I haven't read them yet. And comment below what you want to see me read next or what videos you want to see me film next. As always, I do have my Instagram and TikTok linked in the description below, and my Goodreads too, if you guys would be interested in following me over there and checking out all of my other content. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it would really help me out. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. That's all for now. Bye guys.